The Complex PTSD Workbook: How to Overcome Traumatic Stress Symptoms and Heal from Childhood Trauma. Written by Sarah Miller. Narrated by Robert Wilson and Eleanor Webb.
Introduction. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, is a persistent and sometimes crippling condition precipitated by psychologically overwhelming experiences. It develops in a significant proportion of individuals exposed to trauma and untreated, can continue for years. Its symptoms can affect every life domain: physiological, psychological, occupational, and social. Post-trauma stress reactions have been recognized throughout history. They are described in classical Greek literature and in the early literature of scientific medicine. But it was first diagnostically defined in modern times in the 1980 American Psychiatric Association Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. The surge of scientific and clinical interest in the condition over the past 2 decades has been largely due to the awareness of problems associated with returning Vietnam combat veterans and advocacy by the feminist movement on behalf of rape victims. PTSD has not been documented in other groups, including abused children, victims of crimes, accidents, and natural disasters. Not all trauma survivors develop PTSD. About 20% of crime victims across types of crimes will meet diagnostic criteria. The rates are substantially higher for some crimes. For example, more than half of rape victims are afflicted. However, most crime victims do not have some initial PTSD symptoms and subside over time. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health condition that is either felt or observed as a result of a traumatic experience. Symptoms can include hallucinations, visions, and severe anxiety, as well as uncontrollable thoughts about the incident. Some people who have been through traumatic incidents may have some issues with adjustments and coping. But now, with the time and good self-care, they typically get better. If the symptoms get worse, last for months or even years, and disrupt in your social functioning, you may have PTSD. Contrary to these attitudes, people with anxiety disorders are unable to cope. Disorders of anxiety often tend to highlight particular concerns and fears, like losing one's work for specific reasons. OCD is often related to obsessions with abstract concerns like germs, however. Following the APA's recommendation of excluding OCD from the list of anxiety disorders, it is often recognized or...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?